Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to another episode of the Falcoholic Live, presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Kevin. I joined by my co-host, Allen Strk, for our Week 10 Falcons vs. Colts post-game show. This is the earliest post-game show you will get all season, as the Falcons were playing the Colts in Germany. Unfortunately, they couldn't draw upon Lenny Krieg and Charlie Werner's, German roots to get them the win today, although they did give the Colts a hell of a game. Definitely made the Colts offense look bad for a while. And then it all fell apart, of course. But Alan, welcome back to the show. Another tough loss that we have to now chew on with this team just fumbling away an opportunity to beat a really good Colts team.
It's very reminiscent of the Patriots game. What do you think of? First off, we got to highlight special teams might be the worst of the league. Like, it's been not quietly, just you don't put too much significance in coverage. But 3 times the Colts have big returns, and we know about the kicking situation. The Bradley Pinion, that last punt, I don't know what happened there.
He had such a great punt earlier in the game too. It's just like there's no consistency.
But it's just like this. Like, eventually, when your team's struggling, the losses, the bad moments get highlighted, and just seeing special teams coach, because we could talk about coaching once again, putting his team at a disadvantage. The quarterback play far worse than it was last week, but there's so much encouraging things to talk about, like from a personnel standpoint. Jeff Ulbrich once again continuing to do a great job defensively. Like, you just you want to focus on it because it's like you see these highlights, you see these great moments, but game ends in a loss, and coaching and special teams is at the top of it. And we gotta be blunt. I thought besides the Carolina game, this was Michael Penix's worst performance of his career. Similar to Bill's game, he played very poorly in the second half after so-so first half.
Yeah, I mean, there were some wow throws, but in between, it was just miss after miss, and he's starting to develop some really bad habits, especially against the blitz or even the showing of blitz. And it's because the Falcons don't pick it up. Like, they never pick up the blitz correctly. He's got free rushers on almost every single blitz attempt. And we'll see the Falcons blitz a lot on defense, right? You guys can watch it. Other offensive lines pick up blitzes. Like, they're able to navigate it. They don't always navigate it. The Falcons are very good at generating pressure on blitzes, but like, you should be able to pick it up like half the time, like at least half the time. The Falcons pick it up like 1 in every 4 times. Otherwise, Penix has free rushers. On the sack fumble, he had 2 free rushers in it, like 1 in his face, 1 coming from behind. He saw the one in front of him and thought he could get the throw off. Well, guess what? There's another unblocked rusher coming. Like, so he's starting to just predetermined throws when he sees blitz because he doesn't trust that there's going to be protection. And when you start doing that, obviously it makes you susceptible to, like, Sauce almost picked that out off because he could see it was coming. And it also causes you to sail throws because you just have no trust. And so it's the protection issues are starting to bleed into now affecting the quarterback. And that is a big, big problem because sometimes, as we've seen, those habits don't go away so easily.
It's disappointing. It's like, I thought they held up very well against the Colts when they rushed 4. Like, individual matchups,
Yeah.
like, I don't think any individual offensive lineman played poorly. And they did a fantastic job against the on the ground, I should say. But a lot of teams you see it. Brian Flores started this, where they'll have 7 defenders at the box, right near the line of scrimmage, and 2 will drop off. You have to figure out which 2, or it could be 1 of these defenders drop off. It could be an edge rusher, it could be a nose tackle, it could be a linebacker, it could be a safety. And it's just those fits, and Falcons never communicate properly. There's one where Algier went to the A gap, but then again, I think Lindstrom was caught on an island, and Lindstrom was phenomenal. They got all pro performances from Lindstrom and Jesse Bates. They remind like, yo, we're still guys in this league. Let me know. But it's just those critical errors, and we can just say the lack of chemistry on the offensive line, even though they really only were missing 1 star when you consider it. But we just go back to coaching at this point, because I just think too many times it comes down to coaching.
Yeah, I think it is the coaching. Like, and I'll say that that's been a consistent issue with these Dwayne Ledford offensive lines over the years, is that they don't pick up the blitz very well. They have trouble navigating it. It hasn't really mattered who's been at quarterback. You would think, like, maybe when Kirk Cousins was in there, they would have had him doing more of it. They still struggled a lot to pick it up. Then all through Arthur Smith's tenure, they struggled against the blitz. Like,
In particular.
So. Yeah, and I think this may just be a feature with Dwayne Ledford. He's just not a great offensive line coach at sort of picking up blitzes, and he does so many other things really well that like obviously you're willing to live with that, but it might be something where like if you do keep Ledford around, and I think we're going to be talking about moving on from this coaching staff from now on, guys, because I think there's very little chance of them even getting to like a winning record, much less making the playoffs with 10 plus wins. They would have to basically win out at this point, and that's not going to happen. So they're not going to make the playoffs, and what that means is that we're looking at a new coaching staff this year. But that's just one thing you got to live with Ledford, and maybe that means they need an assistant coach that's like a specific blitz pickup, like specialist or somebody, but that's an opportunity for another, coaching staff perhaps to kind of work on that, because like I think ultimately like Dwayne Ledford is one of the best NFL offensive line coaches, and you've seen it. He's consistently coached up all these guys. I mean, Elijah Wilkinson's a passable right tackle in the NFL.
I thought Kyle Hinton was terrific.
Yeah.
And look, people highlight DeForest Buckner is out. Fair enough. But still, like for a guy who's barely has played any NFL snaps over past, I don't know how many seasons, maybe his entire career he's been a backup, but he came in. I saw him holding up well on pass pro. I saw him and Newsel combining our run blocks. Like when the Falcons had their most success running the ball, it felt like more times than not it was to the left side, especially with Algier. So
no, shout out to Hinton. He's like one. I feel like when the Falcons had Storm Norton and Kyle Hinton, you were always like, if those guys have to come in and play, I'm feeling fine about that. Like maybe they're probably not going to be as good as the guy they're replacing, but they're fine. And I feel that way as long as like they weren't down Lindstrom and Bergeron to where they have to go to Gwynn there. I think they'll be okay. They can survive like the one injury, but yeah, it's nice to see that. And again, I'm not really trying to dunk on Ledford because I think he is one of the coaches that is quite good on this offense, but it's just been one consistent problem, and it's caused it so like you said, the Falcons are actually picking up the 4-man rushes just fine. And they're able to navigate, like they seem to be okay when they drop out of the blitz, but when the blitz comes, and you mentioned this, like teams will just show the blitz, and that's been enough to sort of speed up the clock for Penix, and it's led to mistakes even when they don't actually send pressure. So, he's got to figure out a way to get that under control, and the Falcons, Penix has to do that himself, but like if the Falcons could also help him out by not releasing free rushers into his face every time there's a blitz, like that would be helpful too. So
Zaire Franklin was just a menace. Like it seemed like he was getting the backfield consistently, and it's just like these lingering tendencies with the offense. Because another thing I want to highlight outside of just the issues picking the blitz, and we always joke about this, but it's become such a problem now. Like this team, I don't care if it's a bubble, jailbreak, smoke, like they can't run screens. Like every week, it's just a negative play, and they do it on third down, which makes it even worse. So even though I think Zach Robinson kind of called a decent game, like I don't have too many issues with how Zach Robinson called the game. I think this is more of a Michael Penix game, but still, like the third down, like, and you could look. Drake London blew the block, and Drake London has been consistent blocker. I mean, this receiving corps is just not offering much outside.
It's a corpse, like you said.
Yeah. But at some point, like. Okay, we know the team's not blocking well screen-wise, but just the timing of it, like that's the biggest issue with Zach Robinson, just the feel of games and the pace of games. Like you're not adjusting, like you're not realizing it's a detriment to the team doing this on third down. And it wasn't like this team like sets up their screens even that great either. Like they don't really use running back screens. It's just quick to the outside. And I thought you're always getting out leverage. Yeah, and I think you highlight this. They read it. Like the defender was closing in.
Oh yeah, he charged it off the snap. Like when they motion into that, like they're just all over it, and like they just, that's part of why everything feels so hard, is because the defense is reading a lot of these plays. You could see it on the runs too. Not all of them, and I think they just follow the motion, and a lot of times that gives the play away, and that's just something that you can't have. I mean, you're asking again your offense to push a boulder uphill when they're having to overcome the defense knowing the play calls, and at the moment, like they just don't really have a lot of quick options in the pass game, because like you said, that they seem to think that like the screen was going to be their quick game play, which like on its face you would think like that makes sense, because Penix has that rifle arm. He can get the ball to the screen player very quickly, and that can be a big boost to those plays being successful, as that extra quarter second before the defenders get there for the receiver or the running back, whoever, to have a chance to dodge a tackle back there. But like you said, that they just read the screens are telegraphed pretty heavily, and defenses are all over them every single play, so they can't do that, and they don't really have another short yardage play to go to. Like
maybe if you motion and Drake London's in the slot, like that's the one time like they got one where Sauce wasn't ready for it. Credit to them, they actually hit one play action over the middle. I think it was on the fourth quarter touchdown drive. Penix hit Pitts. I was like, wow, they actually completed a 10-yard pass over the middle. Like that's a promising sign. I actually thought play action was kind of there today, which is something I don't think we've said this season.
Yeah, they've been so reluctant to use it. I definitely think it was beneficial today, and there were just some misses, obviously, and it drops and misses, and the problem is this team can't recover if they have a bad play. So, I mean, what was it? 0 of 9 on third down? Like,
afraid to be
yeah. Just that's just a sign of a badly coached offense that you're having success on first and second down. You're scoring 20 points, like, which is not crazy high, but like scoring 22 points with no third down conversions is almost impossible. That's almost impossible to accomplish. So like they just don't have go-to plays, and the play calling sequence is consistently putting them behind the sticks. Defenses have just figured this offense out, and that's why it's so hard each and every week for them to get anything going. It's just like you're pushing a boulder uphill.
Okay, you're convincing me. Zach Robinson, okay, he's kind of at fault for this game. At first, I was thinking, I don't think Zach Robinson
had a bad game. First of all, like I know people are like asking for that. We're going to talk about that. Penix had a bad game. I would say this is in contention for his worst game. He also just had his best game last week. So people are like, oh, Penix is a bust. We're not going to talk about that. That's a ridiculous statement. Like, sure, he could be a bust. He could be great. Nobody here knows that answer. He just had a great game last week. Let's relax.
Let's avoid definitive statements, but we're gonna be critical of him where.
Yeah, he had a bad game today. There's no doubt. We're gonna talk about it, but it's like he also had a great game last week, and that touchdown to London was awesome. Like, I mean, he had some wow throws in this. That's the thing with Penix is like at least he's gonna give you a wow throw, in between the misses. But he's got a long way to go. There's no doubt about that.
We might as well dive into like just the variance. Like, there's one play, he hits Pitts right in the hands. Pitts uncharacteristic drop. I think it was his first drop of the year. On the deep over, I think Pitts probably could have scored there, and he just drops
he just drops it. Yeah.
But then crushing. Later, Pitts is outside going against Jalen Jones running a Veroka route. Nasty release, creates enough separation, and Penix somehow underthrows him. And it's just, that's it. Like, the highs with Penix are high. Like, you are incredibly impressed by it. But the lows are starting to get infuriating. Too many throws where it's either high behind or too low. Like, there's Mooney, there's a lot of concerns about Mooney right now, but there's one where Penix just throws to the ground where Mooney creates enough separation on Sauce. I mean, how he missed Sills on that, I think it was a 3rd and 10, it was a cross. I was like, wow, they actually schemed up something for Sills to get open, and Penix just missed some wide. I know some people thought maybe Sills was on the route, but the way he was running, it was like a dig in a way.
Yeah, I think it was a dig.
The way he was running that route, I think he was going the right way.
I think so too. I think Penix just missed him. Yeah, I think maybe Penix was so shocked that Sills was in the right place that he actually didn't know what to do. But no, I mean, like, guys, like Michael Penix had a bad game. There's no doubt about that. Like, he missed so many throws. He also had multiple throws dropped. Like, so everybody's like, oh, look at that completion percentage. I think he had 4 drops for like pure
Pitts,
drops.
2 on Mooney. I forgot the 4th one. Pitts had 1, Mooney had 2.
Pitts, there was one other thing. I forget what it was, maybe. But yeah, so that's part of it. But like, yeah, he also, like you said, he was just rushing some throws, it felt like, and not planning his feet correctly. And it's just frustrating when, he's not necessarily getting help from the scheme, and then he's getting the drops, and then he also is having some misses because he's a young quarterback with a cannon that's trying to rein in the cannon. And I mean, we saw some nicer touch throws today. Like, I think he's trying to layer his throws a little bit better to get off of the fastball on every throw. And like, we saw it work to perfection on the London touchdown, and then it kind of bit him a little bit on the Pitts touchdown. But like, this is all growing pains for a guy who, I think has rightfully been accused of kind of being a one-speed thrower. And there's going to be growing pains when you're trying to layer your throws a little bit more, and you're going to make mistakes because when you're just throwing one speed, it's always going to be the same. It might not be a good throw because of the placement you have to get on it, but it's going to be more consistent. As he's learning these other throws and mastering them, hopefully, there might be some inconsistencies in that. And you hope most of that's at practice, not in the game. But today we had it in the game. But again, One of the throws that I thought was great was the London throw. That was also the same type of throw. He just need to put a hair more on it for Pitts. That was not like it was a terrible throw. It was just a little short. That's definitely not the throw I would like point to if I was complaining the most about his day. I mean, like you mentioned several other ones, Alan, that were they just died on him or they were just they were out of bounds. Like he just, in overtime, I think he had two of his worst throws of the game on that drive, unfortunately. So
yeah, that's a tremendous breakdown. I think you did a fantastic job there. I got to highlight that. But don't you think also the pocket navigation is becoming a concern? Because look, another intentional grounding it didn't really affect the game given the situation. I think Mooney kind of doomed that drive with the drop, but it seems like once the first read's not there and young quarterbacks have this issue, he's running backwards a lot. Like he's not moving side to side.
No,
he's just
that's definitely something he's got to work on, no doubt.
And that's what leads to the groundings, but it's just the lack of, it's not being decisive either is a problem. There's times where he I think it was like multiple plays where if he shows more urgency, he could scramble, get 5-6 yards. I know he wants to be a polished pocket pass, I get that, but there's times where you got to create ab structure. If you're going to take that next step in the league, besides being more accurate, be more decisive, like he has to get more comfortable just creating ab structure. And unless it's Drake London doing a fantastic job of like working across the middle of the field and giving Penix a clear look to complete that field, like Penix just doesn't do enough when it comes to creating structure. And you need to do that when your offensive line's missing starters.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I don't know. Do you think the pocket navigation is just as rough as the accuracy right now? How would you break it down?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of ways like you can tell he wants to step up, but a lot of times the pressure's coming through the A gap on these blitzes, so he's not able to step up. And then you could tell he's not really a natural scrambler. That's not really what he wants to do. He wants to sit in there and deliver the deep pass. I think they designed this offense to be that. Like he's going to have time because we have a great offensive line and we want you to stand in there and find the receiver. They kind of have to adjust the offense, and they really haven't. Like it's still kind of either short or deep. Like the intermediate game has just really not been there for them, and I think that's a big failing of Zach Robinson. That's not it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But he has to be able to go sideways, like you said. Like if you see that pressure up the middle, you got to be able to get out of the pocket and go get a couple yards. And I think right now his instinct is to sit in the pocket or try to survive and make a deep throw. And I think if we could shift that to just avoid the negative play, get a couple yards, like just get out of the pocket, just move towards the line of scrimmage, see if you can get a yard or two out of it, but just don't take a sack. Like move, side to side, not backwards, because the deep passing game isn't there. Darnell Mooney's a ghost, and they have David Sills playing most of their third receiver snaps. And like to his credit, I think he was open on that dig. I think he made the right call, like you were saying. But that's that's not consistent. And I don't blame Penix for like not really trusting David Sills to be where he was supposed to be, because that's been kind of a constant problem. They don't, other than Pitts and London, they don't really have the personnel to push the ball downfield. No one else is getting open. No one else is fast enough to get down there in time other than Darnell Mooney and Pitts. And Mooney just isn't reliable anymore. He can't catch the football. He did draw 2 DPIs in this game, which was nice, but it's like
I think both were very fortuitous.
The second one was absolutely ridiculous and not a penalty. But yes, he did force 2 of those technically, but just that's the big problem. Like that's one of the biggest problems with this offense is they thought they would be a bombs away passing attack. Then they've had all the offensive line injuries. And their number one deep threat in Darnell Mooney is a ghost, and they're off
separation either.
No.
Yeah, so you watch the Patriots game. Like there was maybe one other opportunity Penix could have. But like at first, I was thinking Penix is kind of at fault for not getting Mooney more involved. But you watch, it's like Mooney's not giving them the opportunities, and it just seems like whenever someone presses him, like he's not handling contact well. Like Mooney played bigger than his size. Like he made several contested catches last year. Remember that Bucks game, that touchdown where he just flew up in midair and used his frame and caught the touchdown. It just seems like he's not handling physicality well at all this year. I know he's a small receiver, but he is still near 6 foot. Like he's not like a pint-sized receiver. Yeah,
it's not tiny.
So I just don't think he's reacting to that well. Like that drop was just painful. And look, who knows what happens, especially given the kicking situation, but that's at least a 10 to 12 yard gain. And I think the Falcons had 2 timeouts. Yeah. So look, when you start losing these close games and you're in desperation mode, you have to pinpoint certain moments of games. Like we haven't even dived into Raheem Morris's total malpractice. You can
Yeah.
highlight that. We highlighted the punting a little bit here. Jeff, we haven't really talked much about the defense, and I'm super impressed by it. But were you shocked that that second 21? How do you not have a spy in there?
I don't know, man. Yeah, like that was the play of the game. You get him in that third down situation, and like all you got to do is just not give up a big play. That's all you got to do. And they only rush 4, and they don't, like you said, they don't leave a spy. They have that guy following. So they're playing man coverage on 3rd and 21. I don't like that. Like this is
And they're
not
out of field goal range at the time.
Yes,
Like you
exactly.
have to just hold them to like 5 yards, 10 yards.
Yeah,
And
I personally don't know why you don't blitz him there. Like you just got a sack off a blitz. He's not handling the blitz well. Why are you giving him time at all? Like, I mean, I get a blitz is risky, but like the thing on 3rd and 21 is like if you blitz and he escapes, you got the whole like hopefully you're playing his own blitz and not being a maniac and playing man coverage on that. But like, I mean, he did do that once this year. That did happen, and they gave a big play on it. But like you gotta expect your secondary to rally. Like if you can rattle him and get him out of the pocket, you gotta expect your secondary to rally and make that tackle. And like it just, again, it's like a critical moment where I think Jeff Ulbrich just plays it poorly, and it comes back to bite him. That's the game. They just make a routine like 5 or 10 yard tackle on that play. Like you can even let him escape, and just the spy can grab him after 5-10 yards, and they're done. Like they're gonna have to punt that ball away, but or go for it on 4th. But like, I mean, it's still gonna be tough. So
wait, was it second or third? And
it was
21?
third. It was 3rd and 21.
That makes it even worse. Sorry,
It's okay.
Yeah, but
so like they would have had to, they still would have had one more try if you prevent
Yeah,
that.
that's
But
nice.
like I would have much rather had a 4th and 10 than a 4th and 2 where they can just hand it off. So
right, because like to me, Daniel Jones was not making any tight window throws. Like it had to be open. Like the touchdown of Pierce was pretty sweet, but besides that, I just feel like anytime he was forced, like he was pressed into having to go through his progressions or make a throw past 10 yards, he did not look comfortable doing it. How much you think not having the offered affected the game plan? Because look, they had to play Keith Taylor, who was not on the roster or active roster at least. So do you think how much could that have affected them playing between zone and man? Because we know the Colts have a dangerous receiving trio.
yeah, I would have expected them to play more zone, honestly.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, Keith Taylor was okay, to his credit. I mean, he was okay. They've really built good secondary depth. D. Alford filling in looked great to start the game. I mean, he made a big play. Unfortunately, he goes down. Billy Bowman, you can see some of the inexperience there. His first game back in a while. Still thought he had a good game on balance, but definitely gave up some plays. And
he had to get the Kamehameha away from Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor was in the Super Saiyan mode. That tackle in space. Every rookie has a welcome to NFL moment. That's Billy Bowman's welcome to that.
Yeah. There's a lot to get to in this one. We've covered some of it, guys. Let me get to some of your questions as well. I know we had a bunch of those come in here. We had a couple come in before the show, so let me make sure. I think we had Ray Moon saying, leave somebody in Germany. Marquise Williams. So he means leave Marquise Williams in Germany with the $2. Yeah, Ray. That's a frustrating one. We got Ian McCluskey with the 5. Thank you, Ian. Saying Nate Ali and Dwayne Ledford are the only coaches who should stay. Everyone else needs to be fired immediately. I mean, I don't blame you for that one. If there was another one that came in before the show, guys,
Jerry Gray.
Yeah, Jerry Gray. Yeah. I appreciate it. If there was another, I'm not sure if any more came in. Like YouTube is like really shuffled some of these away. So if it came in before the show started and I didn't read it, please post it in the chat. I will read it. Sometimes those early ones don't always register right. I do appreciate it though, so I'll trust you if you say you put one in. But we got Ryan H with the $5 saying, do you guys ever lay awake at night staring up at the stars, wondering what life would be like with proper clock management and just an average offense? I mean, not necessarily that like specifically, but in general, yes, I do wonder what the Falcons would be like with competent coaching, and that I think that's the consistent problem, Alan, is like the team just feels like it has a malaise over it, and it affects kind of everything they're doing. And to me, that's always coaching. Like We said it with Jimmy Lake last year. Like, inexplicably, every level of the defense, like, we still had Jerry Gray. We still had some good coaches in the secondary, but every level of the defense was struggling, just felt like they were not playing right, like they were regressing from top to bottom. And when you get that, it's always coaching. Like, no, they're just, players don't all just fall apart, like, at the same time. You might have one guy underperforming or some, like, it. So, yeah, I mean, I think we know what the biggest issue is, and I think it's top-down leadership from this team.
To me, this game really falls on Raheem Morris. Just at the end of the first half, and then end of both halves, you could look at it. But it just seems like time and time again, situational management, the clock management, like teams just scrambling. They don't look totally composed while doing it. And I don't know, like there's moments where you just hope, like personnel stepping up. Like I can name like 5 standout defensive performers. That's what makes this also even more frustrating because you see players developing. Brandon Dorlus is becoming a difference maker. Jalen Walker, another standout game.
Awesome.
Jesse Bates looking back. Caden Ellis doing his thing. Zach Harrison was healthy, and he brought that versatility they needed as well. Like there is plenty of good things to say, but it's just these little intricate moments. You're just wondering, can you get that advantage? Because the Falcons were a big underdog going to this game. Like the Colts are a juggernaut, and you just see so many standout players. Like just seeing the Tal Algier, fourth quarter Tal Algier is such a joy to watch. Though, like you take all these positives with the personnel and with Jeff Ulbrich, but then you just continuously fall short. A penalty happens here. You don't get 30 seconds here. And it's just, it has to fall on Raheem Morris. At this point, I'm not sure what else he could do. He just seems overmatched. And we knew the Colts had a huge coaching advantage going into this game, and they kind of justified that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's been the killer every time this team, like they get out coached every week. The only coach that doesn't routinely get out coached is Jeff Ulbrich, and he's having to, again, fight uphill to cover up. Like, there's no way this game should have been close given how the offense was playing on balance. Like, the offense was playing poorly. They didn't convert a single third down in this game. And the fact that they were still in this, they were still in it, and they'd scored 20 points by the time the game was over. A lot of it has to do with the play of this defense, just consistently giving them opportunities and chances over and over again to make anything happen. And if you give, even if you give a bad offense enough chances, they'll get something out of it. And that's what happened. But man, just, it's so sad that the one thing we were concerned about, which was like, can this defense be good enough to keep the Falcons in these games so that the offense has a chance to win a shootout? The defense is great. It's amazing. Despite the offense sucking it up for 3 out of every 4 quarters, the defense is out there holding teams down, doing everything they can, sacks, turnovers, whatever. And they're not even that good against the run, and they're bad against the run, and they still make it work. And then the offense just takes the ball and pees down their leg on like 3 out of every 4 drives. I mean, it's like, what can you do? It's like, finally, we got a defense in here worth a damn, and the offense just shits the bed. It's so sad. 2
red zone stops too. And 2 forced fumbles that weren't recovered, unfortunately. So, like, this defense, they were flying to the ball. Like, you mentioned Alfred before. Like, he could have anticipated that route from Josh Downs even could have been better. The way Josh Downs was pacing, like, he was trying to work underneath. Alfred just timed it. Closed it perfectly. And, look, I know we're going to have probably at some point you're going to have to go off your rant about, but for one play, J.D. Bertrand.
That one play. We're never going to be rid of him now. Yeah. That was a great play, though. To be fair,
to the spot, and then tackle Jonathan Taylor properly. Get him by the ankles because like he went high on Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor probably lowers his shoulder, gets to 2 yards. No, from a good angle, J.D. Bertrand went lower. But besides that, wow, that man he just can't play.
Yeah. Look, good on him for coming in and making that 4th down stop. That was a big play, but he just like I don't understand like what we're doing here. It's just like what about the rest of the plays, Jeff?
Physicality is just
it's bad every play. Like and then I guess like at some point Josh Woods ends up getting hurt, so he can't play. But Woods was looking good, like better than Bertrand. Ronnie Harrison has been largely okay, which is much better than Bertrand. And like they're still just giving snaps to Bertrand. It's like it's fine. Like if you're saying like okay, Josh Woods is out now, so Bertrand has to play in certain situations. Okay, fine. But like no one's making you do this. Like no one's saying that this is how it has to be. No one's forcing you to play this man. And it's just, every other play, it's like he's contributing a negative. Like on that Jonathan Taylor touchdown, was Taylor like his man per se? I think you could argue that Jalen Walker was more to blame, because he just got pinned in and really should have held the contain instead of sort of charging at the pile. But JD Bertrand also just charged at the pile for no reason. Like, that was completely plugged up, and he just put his head down and smashed into the pile. Like, you're not supposed to do that when you're the Mike there. If it's all plugged up in front of you, you're supposed to take a step back and keep your eyes on the quarterback and the rusher just in case something goes wrong. So just putting your head down and rushing into the offensive line is such a waste. Like, could he have made the tackle even if he saw Jonathan Taylor? Like, even if he'd done the right thing? Maybe not, but I wouldn't have banged him for that, because then he's covering up someone else's problem. Instead, he's just doing nothing. He's just like, well, time to gang tackle. Okay. Like, I mean, it's just...
And you're doing this against the most patient running back in the league. Like Jonathan Taylor, week after week, like, besides the power and explosiveness, like, he is so deceptive. Like, he knows how to have a feel for that space and just peek out the other side. And you saw it in the worst moments. And it was wild. It was like Josh Woods had like 3 really good plays against the run. There was one where he was working horizontally. He beat, I think, a receiver at tight end to make a stop. And then there's one where he's blitzing through the A gap and just wrecked this play. I forgot the other one. But like Josh Woods, in like 13 snaps, I'm like, wow, he actually left a lasting impression. And it's like, how is this guy not getting more reps? So, man.
Yeah. And it's I feel like I'm just dunking on Bertrand's just a symptom. It's like we can't be giving these guys, like, this isn't your opportunity to learn on the job. We're fighting for our life. We're fighting for our life on every snap. We don't have time to rotate JD Bertrand in to get him snaps. Like, we're still in the playoff hunt. And until you lost this game, you were like still clinging to the hope that you could just lose 2 more the rest of the way and pull off a miracle. And look, if you go beat the Colts, you could maybe start making a compelling argument. Okay, like, we're going to go on a run. We just beat one of the toughest teams on our schedule. Now we just got to go get it done. Like, if you had to go 6-2 the rest of the way, they would be alive. Like, the headline of this show would have been Falcons stay alive. Like, it's very unlikely still, but it's possible still. 7-1 is not possible. It's possible for some teams, like the Ravens could go 7-1, right? With Lamar Jackson and that team, now that they're getting a little bit healthier, that team might be able to finish 7-1. This Falcons team can't finish 7-1. And we're giving Bertrand like training snaps. In the meantime, it's like maybe Jeff Ulbricht's just like, yeah, this is not going to work. I don't really care. Like, just time to evaluate these linebackers.
That's what you wonder with is there a power struggle with Ulbricht and bringing him? Honestly, we're just speculating because we don't know any reports. Yeah. But like, Bertrand is a draft pick, and the Falcons are notorious for always trying to maximize or get every bit out of each draft pick. Like, if they draft a player, they're going to just play him no matter what and see where it goes. So yeah, he just looks incapable. Like, there was a moment where Tyler Ward just stiff arms him, like, out of the zip code. And it's just like, there's just no physicality to his game outside of one play. And just the lack of discipline. Like, if you're going to be physically overwhelmed, at least have some level of discipline, at least be kind of positionally sound. You can't even do that. So it's just, he's a huge liability. And just to go from a player like Divine Diablo, who was playing at a Pro Bowl level, to this, it's going to leave the defense at a disadvantage no matter how good they're playing. And even now, like, the Falcons can't blitz. They're still dangerous blitzing-wise, but you see they're not as effective doing it because it's just such a drop-off between Diablo and Bertrand. Because, like, how can you blitz Bertrand? He plays with no physicality. There's no power to his game.
Yeah. It's just, like, I don't get it. Like, he hasn't – like, he showed the first positive play he had of the season was that 4th down, and I'm glad he made that play. Like, good for him. That's what you hope for, like, you know, when you get these guys out there. But, like, we had to wade through, like, 3 games of just horrible tape where teams were, like, literally building their offensive game plan around targeting JD Bertrand to see that play. It wasn't worth it. Like, it wasn't worth it for that one stop. Like, how many other drives could we have ended with a middle linebacker that was actually playing the position and not just standing there? Like, it's just, that's the only, like, I've got minor beef with Jeff Ulbrich on a couple of plays, like you mentioned, like that 3rd and 21. I think he's just he's not aggressive enough, I think, on some of those big down and distances where, like, that's actually where you should be more aggressive, because I'm not saying jailbreak blitz for the record. Like, I'm saying, like, rush 5 like you always do, And you could even do like a sim where you drop one of the, like you could drop Jalen Walker and have
Exactly.
him spy. Like they do that all the time. So that's the perfect opportunity to do that. Like it's just
And they
crazy.
almost had one interception off of James Pierce. I think if Jalen Walker would have been in that position, he would have picked up. The ball
Yeah.
literally goes through James
Yeah.
Pierce's hand. It's just like one of
If he
those
could
moments.
catch, he'd be a tight end.
But that's what's frustrating because like you see Daniel Jones had several scrambles in this game, and you know how much of a threat he is with his legs. And given that he wasn't really pushing the ball that from the way the secondary is playing, it's like you got to think they're going to try to find a way to get 5 or 10 yards. Like, why not have that spy there? Walker could do it. Ellis could do it. Like, it's those moments, like the situational stuff. And like, that's where the Colts are where they're at. Because look, the Colts have had their fair share of games where they've blown out opponents, but they've won close games. Like, they beat, I know the Broncos right now are in the news for wrong reasons, but that their win against Denver, Denver still has elite defense. They scored 29 points on them. It was just great situational coaching to win that. And just time and time again, the Falcons in those critical moments just didn't deliver. And I mean, you look at the third down, that third down stat is going to be ingrained in everyone's mind for a full week because to go 0 for 8 in any game is unacceptable. But for a team with this talent, and considering they scored 25 points, you got Drake London, you got Kyle Pitts, it's just like, how on earth do you go for 8? And some of it's coaching, but also, you got to also put it on Penix.
Yeah. Penix and receivers dropping passes. Like part of the reason Penix was struggling is because they're dealing with, I mean, most of those third downs were 3rd and long, like, or 3rd and 10.
The down distances are rough. Yeah.
So like when the Falcons have had third downs of, I think it was 5 yards or less, they've converted like 70% of them. But all the ones beyond 5 or 6 yards, they've converted like 2 in the last 3 games. Like it's just, it is what it is. Like the Falcons can't protect. Penix is starting to deal with the pressure in very unhealthy ways to compensate. They don't have any hot reads worth a damn. And the entire playbook is either throw quick out, throw a screen, throw a slant, or just launch it deep. Like there has to be more. There has to be more options. There's something. Can we get like one play that's like a 1 second read, one play that's a 2 second read, and one play that's a 3 second read instead of like, it's either a quick out for 2 yards or like a 30-yard bomb. Can we get something in between? Like
they don't run mesh. They don't run stick. Like those is like simple concepts that you see teams having success with. They just don't do it.
And they never run tight end leak. That pisses. How can you be a 12 personnel team and not run tight end leak? I've seen one tight end leak play all season. Like that play.
It was the Washington touchdown, right?
Yes, yeah. It's like that play is so good when teams are afraid of the run game. And they could set it up perfectly by they could bait teams into it with the Werner motion. And they're like, okay, it's going to be a run. And they'll charge the line of scrimmage where Werner is. And he'll just run out there and be completely uncovered. But they just won't run it. Like, I don't know how this offense was put together. And this is not excusing Penix missing throws. He has to hit the throws that are there. But, like, the reason this offense is bad is not Penix missing throws. It's because the offense is sloppy. Like, and the missed throws contribute to the sloppiness, but most of the sloppiness is everything else. Like Penix is like a 25% of the pie. The receivers being bad and or not being able to get open and or dropping passes, everything there, that's like another 25. And I think Robinson's designs and the overall predictability of the unit, maybe the protection's 25, Robinson's 25. I think you probably give more credit to Robinson than more than that. But, like Penix is like a quarter of the offensive issues when he's having trouble. He's also like 25% of the success or more when things are going well because he's made some incredible throws too. Even in this game, we saw some. So it's just, you're putting a lot on the plate of a quarterback in his, 13th start now. And the receivers aren't making the plays they need to make. The protection's not consistent. And Penix is also starting to develop bad habits as a result of those things. And it's like Drake London and Kyle Pitts are the only guys he can trust out of like 5 receivers on any given play. And that's just not good enough.
And you were pretty vocal. Like if they were seriously considering making a push, like they should have found some way to get a receiver on Tuesday. You couldn't tell me there are several teams that are in tank mode right now. Like I'm not saying put in crazy draft capital because they don't have that draft capital, which team was definitely not in a position to do that. But like you see teams maneuvering with 6th, 7th round picks. Like you couldn't do that to find some receiver. Like Like, could you imagine? I doubt it's funny that they played a close day. Could you imagine if they somehow got like AD Mitchell? Like, I think AD Mitchell could do something like on the Jets. Like, just take a chance on a younger receiver, or even get like a veteran. Like, I understand you couldn't pursue a Jacoby Myers. The draft, it's just you got to value your picks and even bring the player back. But just taking at least one punt on a receiver, or and I know you've been adamant about this, promote someone from the practice squad. Actually, give him a chance. You gave Josh Woods a chance, had some positive results. Why not give new snaps to a player that you haven't used?
Yeah. I just like it's so obvious that these guys aren't creating separation. Darnell Mooney is just cooked. It's sad to me, but like if he wasn't great this year, he was getting cut, right? Like he needed to be last year's Darnell Mooney to stay on this team after this season because his cap hit next year is $18 million. The third year was always designed to be a cap dump season for him. So it's got a super inflated base salary plus whatever signing bonuses left. So he was going to have to really really replicate last season, and then the Falcons would have had to consider extending him. As it stands now, he's getting cut for $12 million savings, and the Falcons aren't even considering keeping him because he's done nothing for this team so far. And injuries are a part of it. Missed all of training camp, had the hamstring injury on top of it, missed even more time. But now that he's back on the field, like he's probably not healthy. I think that's pretty obvious. But like, this is the guy you spent money on to be your wide receiver 2, and he's not delivering even wide receiver 3 production. So, and then they cut the wide receiver 3. They cut Ray McLeod probably to shut him up. So like, I mean, like why are you doing this? Like that was your one dynamic receiver other than these guys, and you just cut bait on him. So, I mean,
and I know there's physical limitations we talked about, but I mean, we haven't drops that glaring. It's concentration. Like he's just not fundamentally right now.
Yeah,
you can't.
And it's probably because he has a broken collarbone. That's what people suspected the injury was. They've never like revealed it, but if that's a broken collarbone, he's not healed. He's just playing through it. So like maybe we should be giving props to Darnell Mooney for trying to play through that painful injury because he doesn't look right. It's obvious.
Because he was creating separation at a consistent rate last year. Like Kirk Cousins was hitting him in rhythm almost every week. Like Mooney at one point last year was leading the league in 20-yard catches. I remember Greg Olsen had a stat when the Falcons beat the Cowboys last year. Like him and Justin Jefferson, like neck and neck for most 20-yard catches. Like you're a playmaker if you're on that level. And to see him just fall off like this now, he just can't create that separation. And Penix isn't really looking his way. So when you have a quarterback that gets rattled and you're just not creating openings yourself, you're gonna get limited opportunities. Like I thought maybe like they took more of an initiative to get him involved, but it was just like go balls downfield that weren't catchable. And okay, he draws some fortunate penalties, but you can't bank on it every week. So
yeah, and you wonder. No, I think you're onto something there, and you wonder if it's like the collarbone or whatever it is that's like hurting Mooney is like preventing his ability to create like these quick routes, these quick transitions. He's not able to hit those. Maybe that's part of the reason this offense is so demarcated because they don't like he's not comfortable running like a stop or a double move or something like he was eating on those last year. Maybe he's just in too much pain to hit that. Like, so that's why the offense is goes or like slants, and that's it. Because your deep threat receiver can only run a go. Like he's not healthy enough to run anything else. It's like, I mean, something is wrong on so many levels. But yeah, it's like, how many teams could survive cutting their wide receiver 3 because he was talking shit? That's my speculation, by the way, but I feel pretty strong that's probably what was happening. And then your wide receiver 2 is hurt. Or ineffective or both, whatever. So all you have is Drake London and your tight end, who is, I think, a good tight end, Kyle Pitts. And then you go to like a possession receiver as your third receiver, and it's like, where is this guy like mixing in? This guy's not creating separate. Like David Sills can block, he can catch, but he doesn't create separation, and apparently he doesn't run the right route a lot of the time. Not that was what happened in this game. I think you and I were both saying Sills probably ran the right route, and that was Penix's fault. But he's been on the wrong route on many occasions over the last several games. He doesn't create any separation. There's no juice. There's no juice in the passing attack either, because we all know London. Like, London's a great player. He's great at creating separation, but he's not a burner. He's not going to go juke someone downfield and do like a 70-yard go bomb. Like, that's not, I mean, he might catch a go because he could just outmuscle guys at the line of at the catch point, but like, he's not He's not that type of guy. Your guy that was supposed to be that guy in Mooney is not healthy. And so we just have like three sort of like 4 or 5 speed guys on the field at receiver. David Sills is even slower than that, unfortunately. Sooner or later, you got to do something. Like, I mean, Dylan Drummond isn't fast, but we saw him at least create short yardage separation in the preseason. Where's Nick Nash? This is a Triple Crown winner. We need to start pressing all the buttons. If you can give JD Bertrand 2 games, you can give Nick Nash 10 snaps in a game. Like, I mean, it's just it feels like we're not trying. Like that, and that's the most infuriating thing at all. Like, you got to do something at receiver.
Like, the defense is willing to make adjustments. We're seeing more Ronnie Harrison. We saw Josh Woods. Defensive line, Sam Roberts gave more snaps here. Laquel London might get more snaps here. Like, the defense is working around their personnel issues. The offense just couldn't be more stagnant. Unless they're forced into offensive line change, you're seeing the same personnel. You're saying, same play calls and the concepts. Like, okay, outside zone worked really well today. Like, a running game. And we didn't even touch on this, but like, how were they more reliant on the running game considering how successful they were? Like, I don't know what their success rate was, but it just seemed like more times than not, they were getting 4 to 6 yards a carry.
Yeah. The run game was working, and the Falcons went away from it quite a bit in this game. There were a bunch of drives in the third quarter. Like, I think we had four straight passes on one of those drives that ended in a punt. And it's like, whatever. But it just feels like there's no flow, to the offense. There's not really any consideration. It just feels like we're picking plays out of a hat. We've already talked about how the design of the offense is sort of boom or bust by its very nature, with all the screens, which again is a boom bust play, all the deep bombs, which are boom bust plays. Like, where's the consistent winners? Like, it can't just be slants to Drake London. Like, it's yeah.
You also can't just be one drive, because I know listeners might say, "Oh, what about the fourth quarter touchdown drive?" Look, that was a thing of beauty. Tyler Algier is just a physical menace. Like, God, he was running like a locomotive on that drive, and then you just saw the interior all line really shine. Like, okay, they get into a flow there, but it has to happen more than just a one gotta have a drive per game. Like, we want the down and down consistency. We want to see these teams score 30 points. Like, you can't just be in sync for one drive and think, okay, it's justified. Like, it really comes down to that downtown consistency, not just the quarterback, but the offense play calling in general, and just how they're operating. Like, I really think you made a great point about the down distances. Like, this is one of those games where it's just like, God, you couldn't just run the ball. Like, this is the game where you really wish you saw more first and second down runs, because they were getting considerable push. Like, this Colts defense is pretty undersized, especially without Buckner.
Yeah, no Buckner. They lost Grover Stewart for a quarter. He ended up coming back, but like, it's just, I don't really get it. Like, I just don't get it on any level with this offense. And this has been a consistent complaint of ours, so not much has changed there, but it's just so disappointing. Like, I feel like we could have an offense designed around the strengths, and it just feels like a super generic offense that you could throw anyone into, but it's never going to be made. It's not tailored for anyone. It certainly doesn't seem tailored for Penix. It seems, I don't know who it's tailored for. Like, it just feels so generic and predictable, and just the Falcons don't help their receivers out. Like, the spacing seems bad on the routes. They're not getting guys open, and the receivers themselves aren't helping either. So
they don't really run rubs either.
No,
like teams running rubs. Like, the only thing they do is motion, but half the time the motion is not really that effective.
Well, it's just, if you're not running rubs against man coverage, you're not trying. Like, that's your
especially
best.
with this personnel group.
Yes,
like, this personnel group desperately needs to do it.
Yes, it's like, I just don't know how you can be an NFL offensive coordinator and be like, yeah, no, we don't need to have rub routes. That's a dirty play, Allen. That's a dirty play, and we're not cheaters, so we're not running any web. I don't know if that's how Zach Robinson talks. I don't think so.
Or it's pure ego, where you think your personal
we're good enough.
Win.
We don't need to lean on that tactic. That tactic's not good enough for me. We're gonna go out there and we're just gonna ball. We're gonna out execute every play. That's what we are.
We watch Chiefs every weekend. They're literally scoring every red zone opportunity. Off rub outs. Like, Juju Smith-Schuster is just a master at. But I don't know. Do you want to highlight some of the defensive and personnel performance, or you want to do questions? I do want to touch on like 3 or 4 players.
Yeah. I'll get to some questions here, and then we'll do the defense, because we haven't talked about the defense much. We got Love Dogs Avery with the 5. Thank you, Avery. Appreciate you. Still believe in Michael Penix, just not his best game. Yeah, agree on both. Fire Morris, also agree. Let's give Ulbrich the interim job. Sorry for the bad spelling. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, Ulbrich's probably who's going to get the call-up if they fire Morris midseason, but I don't think they will. I don't think they're going to fire Morris until the end of the season. Unless they, lose, 4 games in a row or something, which they're getting there, but yeah.
No, haven't they? This is a 4-game losing streak, no?
I thought this was 3.
No, Niners, Dolphins.
Oh, no, you're right. It is 4. Yeah.
No, I think if they lose to the Saints, I will put it.
Yeah, okay.
To the Saints.
That could be the killing blow. Yeah. So.
That Saints jet stretch it should be 2 wins, but it's also dangerous. Like if you're in a survival pool, like I'm deep in one right now. Like I can't trust the Falcons, man. Like if you lose your survival pool because the Falcons, which a decent amount of people did because they picked to beat Miami. Oh.
Yeah, that's a rough one. That is a rough one. That's probably the only game I would have trusted the Falcons in the survivor pool, though. So I totally get it.
I guess the Jets or Saints or both. Oh, they're talking about the Miami.
I thought the Dolphins. Yeah, that's the one I would have picked too. That's the only game I would trust. But nope, they're pretty bad. But yeah, we got JWall TV with the £2 donation. Thank you from jolly old London, England.
He watched the game at a good time today.
Yeah, this was like a normal time. Yeah. Is Penix a bust, and can you discuss his issues? Yeah, I think we talked about the issues today, but he's not a bust yet. I mean, I don't know that you can really decide if he's a bust probably until next season. Like, if he doesn't show any growth next year, then we're talking about it, I think. But, I mean, unless he was just god-awful this year, which he has not been god-awful. He's been fairly mid, right? I mean, I don't think that's bad to say, and I think that's pretty standard for quarterbacks with, less than a year's worth of starts under their belt. Like, if you're getting average to mid sort of play out of your quarterback, that's pretty much on track. So I feel like Penix is kind of on track. I was expecting games like this to happen. It sucks that he followed up his arguably his best game with this, but it's going to happen. It does happen, and it's going to happen more. And I think the good games will happen too. So it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster with a young quarterback, and that's kind of how it is.
This thing, the bust talk is just so ludicrous. For a player to be a bust, it has to be a sustainable period of bad play. Like Penix is literally coming off one of his best games against New England. He was outstanding against Washington. All right, we know the the San Francisco game he was rough. The only 3, there's 3 games this year where Penix has underperformed to me. It was the San Fran game, Carolina game was a debacle, and this game was pretty much a disaster in most instances. You can't just be a bust off a couple games like that. It has to be a long stretch of plays where you're actively holding the offense back. You're putting your team in a detrimental state. He did that a bit today, and we know he did it against Carolina, but you can't be we just gotta relax with the bust talk. It's just let's give it a stretch of games, because I think we've seen as much bad impacts as good. We'd say he's an inconsistent roller coaster right now. The variance is glaring, but let's give it time. We just got to have patience. This is always going to be. I know it's frustrating when the team is clearly talented enough to win these games, and you have every right to be critical, but you just don't have to use the buzzword. I want to go. It's just not necessary.
It's also not like Penix is losing them the game. He maybe could have won them the game, but the issues in this game were way beyond Michael Penix. We've got way deeper systemic, really hard set issues with this offense that Penix isn't necessarily helping every game. Some games he certainly can overcome it. Other games he can't. I think people really need to consider that the general malaise of the offense and the issues that we've talked about are contributing to the struggles in a big way. If we have, again, it's there aren't really, we talked about it, why are there no rub routes? Penix should be able to be checking, if he's getting man coverage, there should be plays there should be plays where guys are just getting open if you hit the rub route right, and we don't do that. So now you've got to play hard mode against man coverage because you're refusing to use a tool that literally every competent offense in the NFL uses. We've talked about the protection issues, which are consistent. We've talked about the lack of separation from receivers and all that. And we also talked about Penix just missing throws. He needs to be more consistent in his mechanics. He needs to calm down in the pocket. He needs to just kind of relax and not rush these throws. But all of these things are linked together. If it was we just had guys just streaking open all the time and Penix was missing them, that would be one thing. But we're really not saying that. Maybe The one time where I think there were 2 times in that game that happened, both of them involved Kyle Pitts. One of them, Pitts dropped it, and the other one, Penix just didn't quite put it on him. But like, even that wasn't an egregiously bad throw. It was just a little short. But it's just, there's so much more going on here than Penix. And you look around the NFL and see all these quarterbacks. Daniel Jones is a perfect example. He was with a terrible offensive system, and that system is strangling the Giants as we speak. Like, I don't know what happened to Brian Daboll, but that is not going well. He gets in an easy mode scheme in Indianapolis with Shane Steichen, who makes it super simple on him, where he can just use his talent, doesn't have to sit back there, doesn't have to overcome, doesn't have to push the boulder uphill. And he looks like an MVP candidate for the first 8 weeks of the season. Sam Darnold, 2 teams now that have had competent staffs. Kevin O'Connell's very competent. Clint Kubiak looks very competent. That's future Falcons head coach Clint Kubiak, by the way. Like, how many more times do we have to show that, like, maybe we should stop blaming everything on the quarterback, and maybe we should start considering just how much bad offensive scheming and coaching really can hinder these quarterbacks. Like, all these guys are super talented. They've all got success in college, and then they come into the NFL and struggle on teams that are typically bad because, again, they're getting picked at the top of the draft. Why are we blaming the quarterback as much or more than the offensive coordinator? Because, like, so many of these, Baker Mayfield, another example, the Browns torpedoed him and gave up on him. Then the Panthers just kicked him out without even giving him a chance. And now he's also in the MVP race with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's just, yeah, some guys just have it and they can overcome everything. Most guys aren't like that. And if you need that guy to make your offense work, your offense sucks. So you can't depend on getting that guy. You have to make it work with the quarterback like Penix, who I think could absolutely be a top 15 NFL quarterback. Is he one right now? No. He's got a ways to go, but like we're just so far ahead of the bust talk when, like, if Penix was costing this team the game and that was the biggest issue, then we'd be talking about this a lot more. It's really so many other things that are contributing that it's kind of, we're not even really, we don't even need to get to that because there's so many other things you can point to and be like, well, these things are probably more important than Penix missing a few throws. Like, newsflash, Daniel Jones missed throws in this game too. And people are talking about him as an MVP. Did he have a much better overall game? Absolutely. He hit some dimes in this one and navigated pressure.
I don't think he played well at all down.
Yeah.
He had a couple throws, but
yes, he had some good throws. Mostly he just used his legs to escape, and that's kind of his thing, right? Like, did he have a better game than Penix? Yes.
Yeah,
yeah, that's sort of what I meant. I think it ended up being a little too positive with the framing. But did he outplay Penix? Yes, but he also has a drastically better offensive line, the best running back in football, and an offensive scheme that makes sense, that actually uses their players, that uses every tool in the toolbox to make it easy on the quarterback. So until if we have an offense that's giving Penix answers and he's just failing the test, that's one thing. There are no answers. It's just a giant question mark every time he gets the snap is what it looks like. Like, it shouldn't look this hard. And you can, I mean, go look at what Kurt Warner says. Kurt Warner points out that Penix isn't working with clean mechanics and all these, but the structure and design of the offense is terrible as well, you know? So it's just, maybe it's hard to focus on fixing your mechanics when you're trying to figure out how to navigate the mess that you found yourself in, the mire that you're stuck in offensively.
And you also have pre-snap issues, it seems like every week, like before the snap. So it's just, Kevin Connell said it best. He said, franchises let down franchise quarterbacks more than franchise quarterbacks, or quote unquote franchise quarterbacks let down franchises. Like, young quarterbacks got to be put in the best infrastructure possible. To see, we saw how much Caleb Williams struggled in his first year with Shane Waldron. Seen what CJ Stroud's in during the past few years. Like, when things are broken around you, you can only rely on talent for so long. And like, we can be critical of Penix, understandably, but there are moments where he has no where to throw. Like, there's just no easy outlet. And especially, like, I wonder rate wise, like, how much are the Falcons seeing man coverage? Like, to me, it has to be high. Like, if you look at this receiving corps, like, how do you not play man coverage against them? So if you're seeing heavy man coverage and you're not using rugs, you're not running mesh, you're not trying to figure out these like concepts like highs and lows where you're really stretching out defenses. Like at least if you don't have the personnel to stretch them out, at least try to do it schematically. Like at least on a touchdown, you saw Kyle Pitts clear out Sauce Gardner to create the mismatch for Drake London, Jermaine Pratt. Like, okay, that's nice, but it's just these are flashes, and that's the problem. Biggest thing, I think, the frustration with the Falcons. Like they have these flashes. You see Tyler Goff, you see Bijan doing spectacular things, London, etc. But it's just we're going to keep repeating it. It's like down consistency, and they're just not there. And you're not going to beat teams that are going to be playing in January, like the Colts, like the Patriots, and like the Bucs, without that down consistency, and with a coach who is putting them at a disadvantage in these type scenarios.
Yeah. And we are going to get to the defense, guys, I promise. Let me get to a few more of these questions here. We got Corey with the 2 says, offense and special teams put all the pressure on the defense today. Marquise Williams has to go week after week. We give teams free yards. Yeah, I mean, given how they bungled the kicking situation as well, Marquise is definitely on the chopping block too. I like Marquise personally. Like, I think he's a great dude. He's been very willing to chat, and I think he's been more open than almost all the coaches in terms of what's going on, and he's a straight shooter. It's just not been good enough, unfortunately. The neglect of the return game year after year is really shown through as well. And yeah, I mean, I think it's time to go there as well. But I don't have any resentment towards Marquise. I think part of it is like it's been a bad draw, and they obviously bungled the kicking situation. How much control did he really have over the Younghoe Koo thing? Like, I mean, I'm not sure that wasn't a call-in from upstairs, right? So just unfortunate. I think he's going to be a good special teams coordinator in the NFL, but probably doesn't survive the regime change that's coming. We got Vaz with the $10. Thanks, Vaz. Boys, can I get a Semper Fi for 250 years of the Marine Corps? Semper Fi, buddy. Yeah. Shout out. I have nobody in my family was Marines. It was all Air Force, but I did know 2 longtime Marines at a previous stop. Great guys, and then shout out to the Marines for a very storied history. Much more storied history than the Falcons so far. So,
thank you forever. Yes.
Yes. Says in regards to the Falcons, once we cut Kirk and free up some cap, who are some realistic offseason targets for this team? Gonna be honest with you, Vaz, I've tried not to look into that too much. There will be options, and they will have money. They'll probably get around $35 million by the time the dust clears from Kirk Cousins, and then, like I said, Darnell Mooney's an easy $12 million cut as well. Charlie Werner's another like 4.75. So they could easily get upwards of like 40 to 50 million in cap, and they do have to sign futures contracts and all this stuff. Maybe by the time the dust clears, they have like 35 million to play with, but that's enough for like 4 or 5 big like if you're going to go all in, which like I think you could pitch this team as like these coaches sucked. We need competent guys to come in here, and we're going to try to win right now because we're in year 3 of a rookie quarterback contract. I think that's probably their best path, is to just try to pitch this as like a quick turnaround for one of these coaches, like a Clint Kubiak. If you're trying to attract a top offensive guy, like, look, we've got players. The offensive line's good. We have a quarterback. We've got 2, 3 tentpole guys in Bijan, Pitts, and London, assuming they keep Pitts. You sort of pitch this as like a quick turnaround. Like, if your scheme is as good as you think it is, Clint Kubiak, or maybe the Browns are dumb enough to fire Kevin Stefanski, I'd be open to that too. Then it's like, yeah, come in, turn this around. You could be competing for the playoffs right away. You don't have to go through a rebuild. You don't have to gamble on a quarterback, whatever. But other than that, like, I don't know the details. I'm guessing they'll probably a receiver. If it was up to me, I'd probably go for like a couple of mid-tier receivers and try to draft a wide receiver too, in like second or third round. Because, I think they just need breadth instead of depth, because you've got London and you've got Pitts. So those should be like your tentpole guys with Bijan, and then just get more like good contributors across the roster and then go from there. But is there anybody in particular you're interested in at all, Alan, at this stage?
I appreciate all the listeners. We love the questions, but we're like in the thick of the season. I don't know how you could expect us to know about free agents. I just know Tyler Algier.
I've set the bar high in years past with this team failing after like 4 or 5 games. But yeah, at this point, I just haven't looked into it that much, unfortunately.
Like, we're thick in the grind right now. Like, you gotta give us till January. And look, maybe we can focus on it when the team's like totally up to us, but it's just, there's just so much going on right now to be thinking about free agency.
Yeah. So I'm sorry I don't have any receivers to float, but They'll go after some guys, I imagine, and they'll probably draft a receiver pretty high. This team hasn't drafted a receiver high since Calvin Ridley, right? I mean, they barely
Well,
drafted receivers at all.
what about London?
Oh, other than that, I meant, yeah.
Oh,
Not like, I was thinking about like non-first rounders because it was Ridley and London. But like,
Harry Douglas.
That was their last day 2 receiver, I think.
Who else comes to mind?
I can't think of any other day 2 receivers.
They sign a lot of receivers.
They do, yeah. Like day 2 is the perfect place to find a wide receiver too. So they do have a second and a third.
It's got to be Harry Douglas.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be Harry. That's the last one that was good for sure. Maybe there was some random guy in there we forgot, but yeah, they really need to start drafting receivers. Like they've kind of avoided it for years. Because of the whole like, oh, well, we drafted 3 offensive players in the first round in a row, so now we can't draft offensive players. It's like, maybe you should just draft the best player available. And not that I'm complaining. I like the guys they've gotten, like Brandon Dorless, Ruka Roro's coming on, had a crucial block in this game. Obviously Xavier Watts and so I'm not upset about those guys, but like, you should also consider drafting a receiver.
Russell Gage was 7th round, right?
6th, I believe.
Okay, he's the one that comes to mind.
He might have been listed. I think he was listed as like a corner and a receiver or something like that because he played both for LSU. So I think they drafted him as a receiver though.
Yeah. But also returner too, I believe.
Yeah.
So he was a fascinating. He developed into a cool receiver.
He did. Yeah. Unfortunately, injuries really derailed his career, but he was looking really good for a while. We got J-Wall TV with another 2 pounds. Why is Penix afraid to go under center? I don't think it's up to him, J-Wall. I don't think Penix cares if it's under center. He might actually prefer that in some situations. I think it definitely makes play action a lot faster, which would be good. It's Zach Robinson that doesn't want to play under center, not Michael Penix. I guarantee that. We got Corey with the 2 saying, this week I realized that the predictability of our offense comes from our formations. You can only run so many different plays out of the same formation, and I don't understand it because I saw Penix turn his back on the defense plenty of times. Well, like, you can run a lot out of similar formation. I mean, look at the Rams. They do it really well where they try to make their offense look as similar on every pre-snap as possible. It's like kind of their whole ethos, and that's why it's so shocking to see Robinson like not do that at all. They really believe in marrying their pass and run game concepts. They run the same personnel pretty much every snap outside of a few specific like sort of down and distance situations. And it makes it impossible to predict their offense. That's part of the reason, I mean, they have obviously great players and Matthew Stafford's having a great year and all that stuff. But like that offense is so hard to figure out because they don't give you anything pre-snap. And that's huge. That's huge in the NFL when the defenses are great and the defenses or coaches are just as good as you are. So if you can avoid giving them anything, that's so smart. That's why McVay's doing it, but it doesn't seem that complicated to me. I don't know why this is so difficult, but hopefully someone will learn this. We got Adrian Russ with the 2. Kevin, I screamed into my Falcons blanket in the 4th quarter. I don't have a Falcons blanket. I should get one. That sounds like a good like screaming implement to kind of muffle it a little bit so you don't scare your neighbors. But why do I do this to myself? Yeah. Why do I do this to myself every Sunday? This game was not on the defense. Fire Raheem, fire Zach Robinson. We had so many 3-and-outs and even 0 points off turnovers. Put Ulbrich as the interim. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with any of those things. I also think Ulbrich is likely to be the interim head coach probably at some point. If they lose to the Saints and the Jets, everyone's fired. Like, just by the way, like that's.
I think Saints. You lose to the Saints.
I mean, I would accept that, but yeah.
There's a Carolina game in between too. Like if you lose against Carolina, I think like Carolina would be 5 games, and then Saints would be 6. Like I don't think you could survive the Saints.
Yeah, I do wonder if we see a Zach Robinson firing sooner than that. Like I mean, they've been 1 of 18 on 3rd down in the last 2 games. Like I mean, it's just. They're looking for a scapegoat at this point.
Also, like the significance of the Carolina game, it may not seem much on paper because it is this season, but like personally, I think this is a huge game for the Falcons just because the Carolina's embarrassed them in the last 2 games. I know the one last year was competitive, but the Falcons defense got just torched in. I just remember Jesse Bates was so infuriated afterwards, or he Boris basically saying we're going to get a new defense. Like I don't like anything besides. He basically said what I like about defense is Jesse Bates, AJ Terrell, and Caleb Ellis is a weapon. Besides that, he said nothing positive about the defense after that Week 18 game. We know what happened Week 3 this year. Like this Carolina game, there's heat to it, And Carolina is now a professional football team.
They're fine.
Yes.
I mean,
the Falcons are not quite looking like that. Like that's like we gotta call it what it is. The Panthers are surpassing the Falcons right now, and this is a team that wanted to surpass the Bucs, and they're nowhere near right now. So this Panthers game, there's a lot of riding on it. Even though this does feel like a lost season at this point, but I'm talking about within that locker room, they better be heated because that Panthers game, we know how humiliating it was.
yeah. And we've been talking about it. We'll talk about it a little bit more, but the Falcons are all but done with the playoffs. Like, we are all but mathematically eliminated at this point, and we'll talk about that a little bit more here shortly when we get to the defense. We got Solaire with the 5. Thank you, Solaire. The season actually died week 1. Wow, Solaire. Okay. But the draft takes keep me going. The draft takes keep me going. The sweet poison in my veins. You got to feed us the draft takes. No first-round pick makes the takes even hotter. Oh, chaos. Well, look, a lot of people have erroneously said that, oh, they don't have a first-round pick, so tanking doesn't do anything. It still makes all your other picks better, guys. Like, yeah, it would be better if you had a first-round pick. I'm happy with James Pierce Jr., personally. Like, remember, that trade got us James Pierce Jr. and Xavier Watts. Not just James Pierce Jr., Xavier Watts, too. So I'm fine with that. I'm comfortable with that being a good trade. I think those are two very good players. I think Xavier Watts like a fringe first-round talent. I always thought I was hoping for him early in the second round, and he ends up falling. James Pierce looks great. Obviously, he's got room to grow. He's a young rookie. Jalen Walker looks awesome. Like, I don't have a problem with that. That second-round pick being near the top would be nice. That would be really nice. Not just for the Falcons, but because that is a trade chip. We've seen the Falcons move that second-round pick every single year. Now, it might be a new GM. Who knows? But, like, if that pick is in like the 30s instead of the 40s, that is a path to another day 2 pick or a fringe first round talent falling into your lap, which we see that happen every year. So it does matter, guys, a little bit. And the pick is gone. Like, I don't care where the pick is at this point. We traded that away. We got 2 players I like. So
what you think on the touchdown got Watts flustered? Was it I think they were running a route. Was he trying to go with the deep over and then he lost track of Pierce? Because I think, would you say he was responsible for that touchdown at Pierce?
Yeah, I think he didn't get enough depth. I think he got caught up reading the quarterback's eyes to the right and didn't see Pierce get behind him. I think he just misread where the play was going. I think he thought he maybe was going to be able to jump something on the other side of the field, took 2 steps that way, and by then it was too late. He recovered well, but it just wasn't quite enough. But yeah, if he plays that absolutely perfectly, that's a pick opportunity in the end zone. But Jones probably doesn't throw that if he doesn't see him take those 2 steps. So, but yeah, I didn't find it like egregiously bad. I think he was trying to make a play and just bit on the quarterback, kind of faking him out with his eyes a little bit. But yeah, I mean, Watts has had so many good plays. I just I'm willing to let it go.
It was also really schemed up nicely, and that's the thing with the Colts offense is they challenge you like in 3 ways every play. Like, they know I get you deep, intermediate, short. Like, they have players and they have the coaching to really stretch you out and make secondary players have to make crunch time decisions. Like, if you're a half second late, it's going to cost you, and it costs them there. And that's just a sign of what a well-constructed offense do. They've done it pretty much every game this year. Like, there's a reason why the Colts are where they're at. So.
Yeah, it's a good point. Good point. We got Nico with the $2 saying Penix's decision-making under pressure and accuracy are a worry, but he deserves better coaching first. Second, how come we have 3 opportunities near the halfway line and fail to move the ball 15 to 20 yards? Zach seems unprepared. Yeah, I mean, I think Nico, probably at this point, we've covered all the issues we have with sort of the flow of the offense, the way it's designed, all that. So I think we've kind of covered that, and we do need to get to the defense at some point, so I'm not going to belabor that point again, but suffice to say, like, Robinson has a lot to do with why this offense struggles, and that's kind of, I think that's breeding a lot of the issues that they have. It bleeds into everything they're doing. Solaire with the $2. He can't lay off the draft takes. We need that wide receiver in the draft. Every good team has a 1A and 1B. I'm going to be watching a lot of receivers this offseason, Solaire. There's no doubt about that. We got Trent Johnson with the 2. When are the draft takes coming? If they lose next week, okay, the draft takes are coming. All right, you're going to get a mock draft in December. As soon as the Falcons hit 7 losses or 8 losses or whatever, I think 8 officially eliminates them. We'll get a mock draft. We're going to get a mock draft in December at this point, guys. So just be patient. But and there's no first, so it's going to be all you day 2 degenerates that want to like make me watch a bunch of day 2 players this year. But we got Rise Up RXNs with the $2. Vegas knew what was up. 7.5 win line in the preseason. And yeah, Falcons are right on track for that 7 to 8 wins, I think. So probably closer to 7 at this point, but we'll see. I mean, if they win the next 3 like they should, then I think we're obviously probably going to go 8-9 again. I still think they go 8-9 again because like that's what this team does, man. That's what they do. They can't even get a good draft pick. They'll screw over the Rams and themselves at the same time. We got George Costanza with the 2. The entire coaching staff needs to go. Penix was awful today. Bounced and sailed wide open passes. The tape is out on Penix. He loves to intentionally ground the ball. Just put pressure on him. What was our defensive plan? Put 7 in the box and make Daniel Jones beat you? Easy. I mean, yeah, it's they don't seem to have good options for Penix when he gets pressure. Like, the hot reads aren't there. The reason we're getting intentional grounding isn't because Penix loves to intentionally ground the ball. It's because there's no option. There's no hot read. It's all deep downfield. If he has to bail out of the pocket, there's no one he can just chuck the ball to. Like, everything's downfield. So that is contributing to that. Also, sometimes it's okay to just take the sack, right? I think he just really doesn't want to take the sack. But, like, sometimes you got to take the sack. It's okay. It's better than taking the intentional grounding. But it's just... yeah, he's a young quarterback, and he's been making that mistake consistently. So I think he's very sack-averse. He actually does have the best pressure-to-sack ratio in the NFL, funny enough. But, like...
it doesn't result in positive plays.
Yeah, it's not always a good thing. Sometimes you need to take the sack. We got Corey with the $2 saying, didn't want to see that timeout get called at the end of regulation. Badgley already missed 2 kicks. I wanted to see them execute with 29 seconds left. We bailed them out. I agree. I actually didn't like that either. I thought they should have made them rush out onto the field to rush the operation. I think that was a mistake. Would it have mattered? I don't know, but I definitely don't like taking the timeout there. I think it was not worth it. We got Trent Johnson with the 5. Thank you, everyone, for the donations, by the way. Saying complacent ownership versus fire under their butt ownership, which the Falcons, of course, are the complacent team, and the Colts are under a new owner. This could be a preview of what could happen with the Falcons here. Obviously, Jim Irsay passes away, and is it Carly Irsay?
I believe so.
Yeah. She takes over. People are questioning what she's doing. Oh, why is this lady on the field? Well, she's kicking ass. So, maybe we should stop questioning and start letting these young guns take a shot at team ownership. Maybe the Falcons have a thing or two they could learn here. We got Anthony Klein with the $2. Says, Fontenot should not be spared RE, the putrid wide receiver roster. To be fair, Darnell Mooney was awesome last year. There was no reason to suspect this fall off. Now, you could talk about the rest of the roster, but Ray McLeod was also great last year, and they didn't have a lot of money to spend, so I think it was fair that they would try to kind of find guys in UDFA and make it work with the guys they had, lean more on Pitts and Bijan in the passing game, which they were doing successfully for a little while until teams figured out the offense entirely. But I don't really, like, the Falcons needed another receiver, I'll agree with that, but I think it was fair to expect you could lean on Mooney as your wide receiver too. He absolutely looked like that last year, and it's not like he's in his 30s or something. I mean, he just got hurt. I mean, and that's bad luck. So they need better depth, but they would have been struggling no matter what in the receiving core. Even if he'd added a third guy that was a little bit more legitimate, it would be better, but I think they'd still be struggling without their best deep threat playing at this point. So, and this question is kind of similar to that one. Manny H with the 10. Thank you, Manny. Says, how much do you think the money we are giving Cousins would have helped to fill the holes on this roster? What specifically did we go cheap on due to lack of cap space? So I've been trying to pull this up, Manny, since I saw your question come in, and Spotrac is down. So it's just like crashing. I was going to look up positional spending for you and try to get this. Let me see if I can get it on over the cap here. But
how can it crash on a Sunday?
Probably because there's so many people trying to watch it. But
wow.
So it's going to be tough to figure this out. Let me see if I can position allocation. Okay, here we go. Should always just over the cap looks like an offense that like a high schooler a web page that a high schooler put together, but it works. 100
layout.
it works 100% of the time. Unlike Spotrac is all flashy and it looks great, and like half the time that site won't load. So shout out to the workman like style here. All right, so yeah, interestingly, the Falcons are spending very little on running back and also very, very little on wide receiver. They're actually spending the most on the offensive line, I think, of any team in the NFL. So, or close to it. So yeah, they went cheap at receiver. They're cheap at running back as well, which, a lot of teams try to do. And they're also just kind of overall cheap on the defense. And they've spent tons of money, obviously, on the offensive line and quarterback, unfortunately, which is Kirk Cousins. So, yeah, it's kind of fascinating. But yeah, they're spending less than $30 million on the wide receiver position, which is very unusual. That will change next year. Guarantee that. Drake London's about to get paid. So, all right, we'll do one more here, and then we'll get to a couple more before the end of the show. We got Corey with the $2 saying, do you realize we lost today by 1 step? If Warren gets 1 more foot down, we win. Yeah, I thought there was an argument that could have been a fumble, but I mean, I don't really feel like strongly about it. I mean, I think it kind of is what it is. I think it could go either way. But yeah, that was a tough break, but I think it was fair to call it a catch or not. Like, I don't really have a strong take on it.
Same. I think it was kind of like a run of the play.
Yeah, it's sort of whatever they called. Like, if they called a fumble, I would have been upset if they overturned it. But same thing with the catch. Like, it just is what it is. But yeah, let's talk about the defense a little bit, Alan, before we get out of here. We've mentioned like a lot of stuff in passing, but I did want to shout out like Jalen Walker, James Pierce. That when the Falcons needed them most, Leonard Floyd's out. They're up against it. They need to get pressure. Like, these two guys are starting to deliver. Brandon Dorless too. Like, Rukaroro had a big play in this game. These young guys are like really like this is. You can sell a coach on this team. Like, there's talent here, especially on defense and offense too. Like, there's talent here. That's why it's so frustrating.
And they're winning their individual matchups. Like, once again, Jalen Walker, the bend he got on Braden Smith on that, and their strip sacks too. Like, he earned that one. And it's not, and yeah, they blitz, but more times than not, they're still winning with 4-man pressures. Like, Dorless, how he worked through traffic to get that cleanup six. I think Daniel Jones probably had it was 3rd down. I think he could have picked up at least like 10 yards to convert on 3rd down. And Dorless just gets him by the shoestring. And because Dorless has popped off when it comes to just making those disruptive plays, using that explosive get off. But now he's making the hustle plays to go with it. That's really exciting. And I think he should be relied upon as their like 3rd down pass rusher or passing down interior rusher, because I think he's arguably been the most consistent interior rusher there. So treating him, then you have what Walker's doing. It's exciting times, and then Rook's flashing every now and then. You just wonder like how are they going to dial in the rotation now? Because at this point, I think Walker has to start playing. Because before last week, he was only playing 25 to 30 snaps. Like, you got to try to get him 40 snaps. You got to try to get Pierce more opportunities. Like, I think now you can maybe condense the rotation a little bit on pass rushing downs. Like, we don't need to experiment with certain players. You probably like reduce Anyamada's work a little bit as well as he's playing. I think at this point, you just got to keep seeing these young players grow in passing scenarios, because I still feel like they could gather run. Like, I thought the Colts targeted James Pierce a lot, and they found success there. But when it comes to pass rushing situations, man, let them loose, because they're delivering right now.
Yeah. And I'm just really impressed with these guys. It's part of why like I've stopped really like getting upset about trading the 1st-round pick away. Like, everybody loves 1st-round picks. Everyone's like, oh, it could be anything. It could be an all-pro. It could be this. It could be a bust. It could be nothing. And we've seen teams screw it up. Yeah, like, I mean, teams screw these picks up 50% of the time. A good player in the hand is worth 2 firsts in the bush. This is an adage that I live by as a draft evaluator, because it's a crapshoot. You're rolling the dice. And people get, this is a D&D analogy we're going to work in here. People get so sucked into like hitting that natural 20 that you don't realize there's 19 other numbers it could be. And half of those numbers are below average. So like, yeah, you could hit it out of the park, or you could get nothing, or you could get something serviceable. And I think what we've seen is the Falcons found a player they really liked, James Pierce. They're like, we got to get him. And they were like, we can also pick up a 3rd rounder out of this deal and get another player we really like. And that's huge. So it's like, I don't mind being aggressive as long as you get good players doing it. And I think they did get good players. So like, I'm just, yeah, does it suck to maybe not have a top 10 pick this year? Yeah. But like, were you going to do better than, like, I think someone corrected. It's like, technically it was like a 1st and a 5th for James Pierce and Xavier Watts. I challenge any, like, any team to do better than that outside of like a random occurrence where you get like a Cam Chancellor in the 5th round or something, which that's, count on one hand the number of times you get that type of player out of that
or
5th
great
rounder.
Jarrett.
Yeah. Just they're good players. I'm fine getting good players when you have the opportunity to do so and not rolling the dice. Does it suck for offseason coverage? Yes. That's what I'm most upset about, honestly, is that I don't get to talk about the 1st round pick. But, I'll get over that. And you guys will too, I'm sure. But, yeah.
It's also what Luke Kane-Ellis it just seems like he always reads the game perfectly. I love the fact that Jonathan Taylor, one of the few running backs I've ever seen stonewall him on a blitz, like going through the B gap. Taylor just planted him. And then like the next drive, Ellis puts a patented spin move on him and beats him and gets the pressure. I think it actually ends up in a sack. So yeah, vintage Kane-Ellis game. Please keep him on the roster. I don't care what his contract is. He, to me, is like the most consistently reliable player on defense. And hey, Jesse Bates, man, he was everywhere. Like I've seen, like anytime a tackle needed to be made, or if Daniel Jones had to get closed down before hitting the open field, Jesse Bates was there. He had the big interception. He had the PBU on Mo Alley Cox, even though I think Cox was dropping, but still, like I thought Bates showed great anticipation to get the catch point. And Mo Alley Cox, like he played power forward for VCU. That is a massive individual, athletic individual too. And Bates got up there. So really good to see Bates come back, because look, if this team is gonna be competitive, you need your all-pro talent to play like it. And I thought Lindstrom was the enforcer. I thought he really set the tone for what they did on the ground. And then Bates was his marauding safety style play, where you see him making those timely plays in coverage, like the way that interception was, just reading Daniel Jones' eyes and closing down the route, and then much more consistent as a tackler, which hasn't always been the case this year.
Yeah, I think it's, Jesse Bates is great. And again, we've talked about it. Like I wasn't like super concerned about Bates and him just being sort of a above average safety instead of like an elite game changing safety on every play. This was his best game. I hope that's a sign of things to come, that he's finally getting more comfortable in this more aggressive role. And him playing well is important, obviously. Like you don't want him to be slumping going into next season, because the Falcons, I think, have some really interesting things they can do with Bates. Obviously he's 2026 is like actually a contract year. He's got 2 void years as well. So 2026 is like an opportunity where if he's playing well, you extend him again. And you can create a lot of cap space by doing that. Like he'll be, I think, 29 during the season next year, which again, this is probably when you're looking to do one more extension with a star safety. You don't want to be doing this in his 30s. You want to do it now. Maybe another 2 to 3 year extension for Bates. And you could spread out, like up to 10 million. You could send that forward. Like, so if you're selling this as a quick turnaround rebuild and you want to give a bunch of cap space to a new team, that's the deal you want to do. Like you want to go after that contract. You could always do it with Lindstrom too. That's another option. So the Falcons have plenty of opportunity here to push money forward and create a lot of cap space for, and I hope this is what they do. Like I think this team is close. That's the saddest thing of all. This team with competent coaching could be that. And Jesse Bates should be a part of it. Like you said, like this is a guy that this defense should be carrying this team to a better record than we were expecting. This team could be 6-3 right now, easily. And they can't finish. They have dumb mistakes, time management issues, special teams issues. The kicking games cost him 2 games by itself. And it's like Zane Gonzalez didn't have to do a lot today, but the operation just felt so much more professional. Like none of those kicks were dead center. Like every single one. It's like, wow, I forgot what that was like to just be like, oh yeah, we're just going to make kicks and not like literally be staring at Parker Romo. Like, is this dude going to miss like a 33-yarder? Because he was capable of doing that at any time.
Let's wait and see though. Let's not.
Yeah, it's one game.
Parker Romo had his moment against the Vikings and we thought everything was fixed and it clearly wasn't. So
yeah.
Let's get some consistency there. But yeah, no, you summed it up perfectly. It's just this team, when you finding ways to lose, not maximizing opportunities, and like even unfortunately, like the strip sack by Pierce, great. I didn't even mention that, how Bates pretty much perfectly shadowed Jonathan Taylor there and forced Daniel Jones to hold on the ball for a second longer, and Pierce was unblocked and closed in. So that was another play where Bates just properly positioned himself to help create the turnover. And that's another thing. The Falcons won the turnover battle. Like that's another thing. Like when you win by multiple turnovers,
Two
and then
games in a row now. Yeah.
You get 2 red zone stops. Like when it came to like the big plays that had to be made by the defense, time and time again, man, it happened. And look, you could talk about the run stats, like the Colts. That was always going to happen. Jonathan Taylor, that run game has just been doing it all year, so I don't get too frustrated there. It was just another moment where this defense really put it all out there, and they deserve a lot more than what they currently got.
Yeah, it's just a shame because, like you said, the defense has played so well. They've overcome so much. They're far from perfect. I mean, they gave up a lot of yards in this game, a lot of time of possession, but they clamped down. They made the plays when they had to consistently, and we've been waiting for that. And now we have it, and the Falcons just piss it all away, man. It's so sad. This could be a complete team with an offense that's humming. And like, do I expect this offense to be like a top 5 unit or something? No, but like, there's no reason this shouldn't be a top 15 solid to good offense, leaning on the run game and a good group of pass catchers overall with a competent scheme. But like, how many NFL players and analysts and everybody do we have to send the same message? Like, you don't have to believe us. You can go listen to Kurt Warner talk about it. You can go listen to any analyst. They're like, wow, this offense looks really bad. This is not humming. There's big issues here. And the Falcons come back every Monday and say, we just have to execute better. Well, why don't we tell Zach Robinson to execute better? Like, when is he going to start taking some accountability for what's going on here? So that's what I want to know. But somehow we're back on the offense. I'm sorry. Like, we're trying to talk about the defense.
I think that just sums up, and I guess we wrapped it up as best we could when it comes to, because it's really the repetitive issues. Like, you know how the Falcons is like boring and predictable and the same tendencies. Like, they're just giving us the same things to discuss. Like, we're invigorated about the defense. The offense is manually frustrating, and the coaching puts them in positions where they're not going to win. So we can marvel at the talent. We get excited about the future, but when it comes to that current storyline, the current situation, it's grim. And there's nothing that we really could react to because a lot of it's the same. That's why we do sound repetitive, because this team is repetitive in how they lose. So these next 3 games, must wins. And if you could go to 6-6 and see how you're going to play, because look, this team has played up the competition, and you're going to play against the Seahawks. You're playing the Bucs. You're going to play them 2 times in 5 days. So if you like to play up against your competition, then these next 3 games, you got to put yourself in position to at least build some enthusiasm about where this team's headed. Otherwise, like we're expecting now, it's full on to 2026.
Yeah, this team plays their worst football against their worst opponents. Their 2 worst games were against the Panthers and the Dolphins. So
next week, baby, opportunity.
And that's why there's no faith from me about this team doing a damn thing, because like I had more faith in them winning this game than I do about them beating the Saints or beating the Panthers or beating the Jets, because they just go out there and play like crap against these teams. Like, it's like, I don't know if they don't care. I don't know if they don't take them seriously. Like, I don't know if the coaching staff just sips Mai Tais all week because they think it's an easy dub or what. Like, and none of those things happen, for the record. They obviously care. They obviously prepare. But something about the leadership of this team makes them susceptible to just getting their asses kicked every time they go up against an inferior opponent. And whatever that is, I don't know if it's like just kind of arrogance overall, that and you can feel it in the air of the building, or like the teams take on the personality of their head coach. That's what happens. And right now, this team feels like it's full of hot air, and that's what Raheem Morris feels like to me.
Yeah, hot air. Oof. In Germany.
What
a time. I hope the German crowd enjoyed that game, because
that was a fun game. Yeah, it was a good game for Germany. Good for them.
Yeah.
Falcons not hurting their primetime prospects at all. They've delivered in primetime good games. So,
because let's not forget, Germany last year, they actually saw Daniel Jones' last game as a Giant. Giants-Panthers they saw last year. So now at least they saw one Super Bowl contender and a very talented but manually frustrated team that I'm sure will garner plenty of interest come January when it comes to the franchise decisions they can be forced to make with the way the season's heading.
Yeah. So yeah, it's rough. So not too much more to say on that one, guys. Let me get to some final donations here. Thanks to everybody for that. We got George Costanza with the $2. saying, "Don't worry, the coaching staff next season will hopefully use the preseason for what it's intended for. I didn't play Raheem Bingo for his press conference today, but I bet I would have had the winning card. We'll look at film and we'll address it at practice." Yep. To be fair, that's probably what I would say too if I was just trying to get out of there. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't really do much for anybody at this point. We got Love Dogs Avery with a 2. Thank you, Avery. Says, everyone has a bad special teams game today, I see. Yeah, there was a couple other return touchdowns and other things today. This, return change has electrified the return game. This was a great move by the NFL. This is much better than just touchbacks every time you kick the ball, which was terrible. No one enjoyed that.
It's only feeling it is a noticeable negative for the Falcons that they have not maximized these new rules at all.
Yeah. So it's... Yeah, they were like, no, we don't need a returner. We could just have Jamal Agnew, who can't stay healthy, and apparently is just not very good. That's fine. That they've been like this every year with their return game. They're like, yeah, we'll have one guy that we like. I mean, they had Cordero Patterson for a minute, so that was good. But
Avery Williams gave one good year.
Yeah, that year was good. Great punt return season. Yeah, but that's it. That's the one time. And then some Cordero Patterson magic from time to time. But yeah. It's just a shame that they had Cordero Patterson before these new kickoff rules. Prime CP in this era with these kickoff rules, oh man.
He's putting at least 3 in the end zone.
Yeah. Just insane stuff. I would love to see it. We got Corey with the 2 saying, "It's so telling that at the end of regulation, we ran our goal line package out of shotguns. Makes no sense that we can't even have a short yardage package under center." That is weird to me. It's like they're allergic to it. They're like, no, we won't even have a single package under center because reasons. And I think the whole whether it's pistol or shotgun or whatever is all kind of overblown to some extent. Their outright refusal to utilize under center for any plays, except one Frank's Tank short yardage conversion, which actually worked, and then it worked twice because one time it forced they never ran that play again. It worked 2 times, and they were like, nope, throw that one out. We don't want that. They finally, Zach Robinson finally does something mildly interesting, and he's like, nah, don't like that shit. That's gross. Felipe Frank, so what was I thinking? That's crazy. So, yeah, great job. Great job, Zach. We got Crimson Huntsman with the 22 months of subscribing. Thank you, Crimson. I will be the first to say it. We need to stop blaming Fontenot for this. I do agree to some extent. I mean, you guys know I'm at this time, and I reserve the right to change my opinion. I am pro Fontenot. I'm pro keeping Fontenot, mostly because I strongly worry about the type of GM candidate you're getting without a first-round pick. I think that's not likely to get you good results. But Fontenot's been far from perfect, but I don't really think this is his doing. I'm not sure he's ever had a chance to hire his own coaches or do this stuff. They've had him out there at some of these press conferences and all this, but you get the feeling that he's just kind of an attaché. He's their personnel director, and it's really Rich McKay and Arthur Blank calling the shots, and Rich McKay's not helping himself with these interviews either. So
no, not at all. It's like Woody Johnson, Jerry Jones, Rich McKay.
Yeah. So I don't believe Robinson's been given a fair chance to build this team. I think he's been stuck with coaches that didn't. First of all, a coach that didn't want a quarterback, then a coach that wanted 2 quarterbacks, then and so are we actually going to give him a chance to hire now?
I just don't think the league's going to operate like that. Just the way it is.
I agree. I agree.
Results are results. So is he probably going to shorten his stick? Probably, but it's just 5 years.
I agree.
There's got to be some winning resume there. I think that's the problem. Even though I think he's got some legitimate hits when it comes to free agencies. Like that 2023 free agency worked out really nicely with Bates, Ellison, Onyemata, the Shreflex looking really good. And then 2022 were some hits. But I just think it's very hard to justify when the team is continuously on a downward spiral, and then they make it 1 or 2 steps towards the right direction, and that's 4 steps back. It's just not enough longevity there.
No, I agree. It's why it's controversial. I get it. I just think it's the same thing. And I feel like the Falcons are making the same mistake they made after Arthur Smith, where it was the Arthur Smith hire was the right process. It just didn't result in the right hire in that case, and it didn't result in wins. I think Terry Fontenot has implemented the right process far more often than not. And I think hiring him and keeping him is the right process. But again, it's not producing winning results. So if the process is good, but you're not winning, can you tweak it? Or are you going to do what the Falcons did when they hired Raheem Morris, which is like, nope, we're not interested in offensive coaches anymore. We're going back to defensive coaches we know as our only options, and that obviously hasn't worked out either. So, but I think what you're saying is like a very reasonable take. I mean, I agree. Like, it's like, are they really going to keep him after this? And it's like, he's just going to go somewhere else now that he's worked out all the warts with the draft evaluation. He's always been good in free agency. Finally nails a draft. You kick him out, he's just going to go somewhere else and do well. Is my fear, right? So we'll see. But we got a couple more here. Sour Pickle with the $5 saying, Coach Raw was asked about Zach today. It's going to start soon. You have to figure. You can't keep doing the same thing. Yeah, that's the one lever that Raheem can pull to keep himself employed, is probably to fire Zach Robinson. But there's no one else coming in. I mean, unless you think TJ Yates is going to be a heroic first-time play caller, which I at this point I'm ready to see it. Like, I'm done with Zach Robinson, so like I'm ready to see what he can do. But I don't think there's much hope there. There's not much hope there. Anthony Klein with the $2 asks, what exactly does Raheem do? He has a sick fit. I love his fit on the sidelines. Like, he's always looking good, so I'll give him that. But I wish it was more than just like, I know there's the adage like, look good, play good or coach good, but that's not fulfilling itself right now. Like, we need more than good fit, and like, he's got aura at times, I would say.
Players like
the
him.
Kids say.
People say players really do like him.
The aura has not translated, and the vibes are terrible. So it's just unfortunate. And then Corey with the stat drop here with the $2. Thank you, Corey. Indy had the ball for 14 more minutes than we did today. That's almost a whole quarter more. That's why I want to give even more props to the defense for somehow keeping this husk of an offense alive for a game where they had to play 5 quarters and the offense only played 3. So unfortunate stuff there. But Alan, I think we've covered it as best we can. This is a very frustrating team that's really circling the drain at this point. It's unfortunate, but anything else you want to add before we sign off today?
I just wish these memorable, fun games would result in wins. That's the main thing. These last 2 weeks have been fun. We're seeing see his team go up against playoff competition, and they do look like they're ready to compete, but they can't win. So it's just, you kind of look at these next 3 weeks as a real litmus test of, okay, do we have any glimmer of hope in 2025, or is it just a full-on swing to 2026?
Yep. I mean, I'm interested to see how the Falcons try to like spin this, try to attract a good candidate. Again, I think like all in on an offensive play caller. You're just gonna have to take a shot. Like, give someone a chance. Like again, like giving Zach Robinson a chance wasn't bad process. It just hasn't resulted in wins. So like, I think you just keep take another shot. Like, and at least click Kubiak if you go that route or somewhere else. Like, you've seen him do it now. Like, the Saints offense last year was better than it had any right to be. And now the Seahawks offense, that offense that they're running in Seattle would be perfect for Atlanta. That's the offense you should run. Take notes, Zach. Like, that power, like they've got the play action game. Like, they've got an offensive line that can run block pretty well, but the pass blocking is sporadic. They've got a quarterback that loves to throw deep bombs and is a little bit inconsistent on the other stuff.
Play action's big with them.
Yeah, they're like the number 1 play action team in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's it. I'll take it, Clint. Just bring that over here. You don't have to change anything. Take the whole playbook, just insert it here, and I guarantee you this team's scoring 25 points a game. So
they're so explosive on first downs too. Like, they take chances. Like, they're so much fun to watch. So he's definitely gonna get huge interest. He's absolutely candid.
Yep. So it's tough. But it is what it is with this team, and we're gonna navigate it as best we can. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We'll be here all season, no matter how bad it gets. That is our lot in life, but we're also here to help you guys through it and just enjoy what we can from this team. There are good players here. There are fun players here. The defense is legitimately good, and I think at any point you could just get a better play caller in here and turn this thing around. So that does give me hope for if they make the right call here, if they get the right head coach that really can call plays for them and get this thing on the right track, I think it could be a quick turnaround. Legitimately, I don't think this is like where they were when they hired Arthur Smith, where it's like this is a full teardown, and they just lied for 3 years about this being like a whatever they called it instead of a rebuild, where it was obviously a rebuild. This is not that team. This team has legitimate talent on defense, legitimate talent on offense. They need to make some moves, but they have money, and I think Penix is definitely good enough that you're willing to take the chance and just trust a big time offensive coach. And again, Stefanski, I would be interested in too if the Browns fire him. That would be really stupid of them, but it's the Browns. Can't rule it out. Kubiak, like again, this is like his second. This is his second time, so I think he'll have suitors. But I think the Falcons can make a compelling case for an offensive coach. That's their best hope. So, and maybe, you can sell Kubiak on keeping Ulbrich, so that way he doesn't have to worry about the defense. There's potential here if they don't screw it up, but they're probably going to screw it up. So, maybe it's all for naught. But, yeah. Alan,
that's the way you end it.
Yeah, that's the way to end it. Probably going to screw it up, yeah. But, guys, thank you for hanging out with us. Real quick, want to touch on, to really hammer it home, unfortunately, Falcons now, according to FanDuel, plus 710 to make the playoffs. So, 7-1, guys. So if you're feeling spicy, now's the time. If you weren't feeling spicy enough last week when they were like plus 300, they're now plus 710. So I believe the other stat was that I think just 10 teams in the last like 20 years have made the playoffs after going 3-6. So yeah, not going to happen. But hey, it is what it is. We could finally turn the page here. Thank you so much for joining us. We got Allen Strk at Allen Strk. I'm Kevin. I have Falcon Kevin. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We're so close to the 9,000 subscribers now. We are, I think, just a couple away. So if you want to help us get over the line, you can help us out there. You can also leave that 5-star review in your podcast platform of choice. We'll be back with Trey Sean for Tuesday Takes this week. And then, of course, breaking down anything that happens on Falcon Live on Wednesday and going from there. But
You're gonna get an aggravated Trey Sean because he had to wake up at 6:30 to watch this today.
Yeah, we were talking about that last week. I was like, I don't envy you on this one. So it's probably gonna be a frustrating one in a lot of ways. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. We appreciate all you fans for keeping the spirit of this team alive and giving us some companionship despite some truly terrible Falcons football we witnessed at times. And honestly, not bad Falcons football that just hasn't been enough to win because of the aforementioned issues. So thank you guys for hanging out. We will see you next time on the Falcon Live presented by FanDuel. Until then, enjoy the rest of your football Sunday because you got all of it ahead of you. So you can just bury this one deep and continue on with your life. And then that's what I'm going to try to do. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. We'll see you next time.